Good morning and welcome to week 7 of the General Assembly. As House Republicans, we're looking forward to our first simple plan becoming law after passing it last Thursday. 2 years ago, the pain-capable Unborn Child Protection Act never made it to the House floor, but on Thursday it passed with 80 votes, including tremendous bipartisan support. House Republicans have also passed several pieces of legislation affirming our support for the Second Amendment rights of Arkansans, and we look forward to the passage of Representative Collins' bill to improve the safety of college campuses later this afternoon in the Senate. We also look forward to House passage today of Representative Shepherd's bill to reform the election process for prosecuting attorneys in a nonpartisan fashion. While these common sense pieces of legislation have been moving through the legislative process, we've been hard at work crafting legislation that fulfills other simple plan promises that we've made last year. House Republicans have focused on the needs of Arkansas workers by offering several pieces of legislation that will encourage private sector job creation through increasing our educational excellence and reform income and other taxes paid by hardworking Arkansans. One of our key pieces of legislation is our plan to responsibly cap the growth of state spending. As I've mentioned before, that since 2000, total expenditures in Arkansas have increased nearly 140%. Since 2002, general revenue spending has increased nearly $1.5 billion. Our plan does not propose any cuts to state programs. We're simply looking at slowing the growth in state spending. Claims that reducing the amount of growth is a cut are irresponsible and not factual. By responsibly capping the growth of government spending, we will ensure we do not have to raise taxes on hardworking Arkansans. House Bill 1041 will be represented in committee this week, and we look forward to it returning to the House floor for passage. House Republicans continue to be committed to turning our state into a jobs magnet by reducing taxes on Arkansas workers, making them more attractive to private sector job creators. That is why we have started the process of moving tax reform bills forward. Representative Collins has offered shell bills that will serve as the foundation of our tax reform agenda. Turning Arkansas into a good jobs magnet will, of course, require more than just income tax relief. Improving our excellence in education is essential. We are proud to have passed this week important educational reforms and are continuing our work on legislation that will empower students and parents with more choices. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
When will your spending cap bill be in committee?
Being committee tomorrow, I hope it will be on the House floor on Thursday.
What's your thought on Representative Scott's bill for open carry?
Looking at the open carry law, I wasn't aware that I believe 41 other states already have open carry for over 40. I don't know the exact number, but we're one of the only states, or one of the few states that don't have open carry. I've traveled, I believe, to every state but 3, and I've yet to see anybody carrying a weapon openly in public. So I think it's the fear that people will be wearing their pistols around on the outside of their jacket or whatever is probably a little bit unfounded. So I'm pro Second Amendment. I personally will support the bill like I've supported all other Second Amendment protection bills.
When are we going to see those income tax shell bills put out?
I'm not sure what the date will be or the timeline on pulling those bills out. I believe you can read some of the information that Representative Collins has put out in the past about removing the higher bracket, working on the income levels that qualify you for certain brackets, and maybe getting rid of the lower bracket. I think it'll be something close to those terms is what will be in the bill. But I know he's continually working on that and putting a lot of study and effort into it.
You mentioned at the end about education bills. Are you expecting some education legislation that you guys are tracking to be up this week? And if so, what?
Well, we've been working all along on a tax credit scholarship program. I've been spending quite a bit of time in meetings trying to refine that bill. I know it's in its final stages of drafting, and I hope to see it filed either this week or early next week. But I think that'll be a key point or key piece of legislation for educational excellence. I know when Governor Jeb Bush was here, he talked about a similar program in Florida that's had outstanding results. And he said that when legislators come back for the meetings there in Florida that they're always trying to figure out how to put more money into that program because it's been so successful. So we've been talking about that one for a long time. We hope to see it filed either this week or next week.
What's going on with the Charter School Commission? And there's a lot of talk when Governor Bush was here about that, and it's just kind of, I haven't seen any movement on it.
Well, I know there's been some additional bills drafted. One, maybe, I think it was actually proposed by the governor to put the charter school approval within the Department of Ed, but it still leaves a veto process or something in place with the State Board of Education. I haven't seen the revised language on that bill, but I know that's out there. I think our caucus still has a strong desire to see the way that charter schools are approved, reformed from the current system. Yeah, hopefully that will take place this week. With the bad weather last week and the Senate having to go home early, we weren't able to have the meetings that we hoped to have to get that process in order. But
So you expect a higher one?
I expect to have approval and be able to announce the person that we visited with sometime this week.
Are you looking for?
Where's that funding coming from?
It will be out of the Bureau of Legislative Research. They have funds for studies and things like that that assist the legislature.
And in the ballpark, how much?
It's in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, which is pretty minimal compared to what DHS has spent on the studies that they've done on Medicaid.
Are you looking forward to additional details from the governor's meeting with Sebelius and everything that went on this weekend in D.C.?
I would like to find out where we're at on that. I tried to read everything I could over the weekend. The details were really sketchy on what he found out in that meeting.
What about some Republican governors have decided to adopt the Medicaid expansion? Does that change your mind at all, or make you think differently about it?
I think we have to look at what's best for Arkansas, and the fact that other governors have decided to take the expansion and negotiate different terms on their Medicaid system is always something that we have to look at. But there's also Republican governors who have declined to participate in the Medicaid expansion. So it's really a custom program for Arkansas. We need to look at what's best for the state. We got to get the numbers that are specific to our state. We still don't have a good idea of these 250,000, what the demographics are on them, how many are in the 138%, how many are below 18%, and then that group in the middle between 18 and 100%. So although we can look and see that other states are getting some pretty nice deals from the federal government by agreeing to expand, we have to look at what's best for Arkansas.
So if Arkansas can get us a deal like that, would that be favorable? Would that be help you decide, or would that make you want more to expand?
A deal like Florida or Ohio?
Yeah.
Again, we just have to look at all the details. As they say, the devil's always in the details. I hear talk of global waivers and things like that never would have been possible before. So if we can look at the overall Medicaid program and make it more sustainable over the long run and save money for Arkansans, we certainly have to do it.
And any additional changes to your spending cap bill that you're proposing tomorrow?
I spent a lot of time over the weekend looking at how other states have done spending caps. There are over 30 states that have some kind of a spending cap in place. I'm still looking at data and haven't made up my mind for sure if I'll file another amendment on it. But one indicator that a lot of states use is the personal income, and they look at it on different, they have different ways of looking at it. Some of them just look at a percentage of total personal income as what's an acceptable growth level. Others look at the growth over as many as 10 years back to set their growth gap. So I'm still analyzing that data. I need to visit with a few people here and make a decision for sure by the time we get to committee in the morning.